Welcome to another session here at Vision 2026, and today we have a fantastic program for you. Someone who's been busy here in Pretoria, actually increasing the productivity of teams within a business. Wilhelm Lombard is going to talk to us about how he has gone along and actually helped a company here in Pretoria on how to actually improve their growth through getting their teams to be more productive. So welcome, Wilhelm, great to have you here. And welcome, Glenn. Glenn's actually was in Cape Town this week, and he went to the Parliament, and we'll ask him a little bit about what happened there. It's 2 weeks ago, we had some people also went to Parliament. So we've got some really important people here going to Parliament. So great to have you all here. But today's show is really a little bit more about business acumen. We were going to have cybercrime, but the gentleman the expert who we wanted to come onto the show, he's now only coming on the 12th. So that's in 2 weeks' time. We've got a gentleman coming to talk to us about cybercrime. That's going to be a very interesting show. And next week we have an economist who's going to be talking about, the economy and what was said last night. So it's going to be very interesting to hear what she has to say about the economy. But welcome, Wilhelm. Great to have you here. And welcome, Glenn. Good to have you here as well. Let's go, and I'm going to hand over to Wilhelm. Wilhelm's going to tell us his story. He's got some slides as well to tell us about what he did. And so let's go for it. Over to you, Wilhelm. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, David, and for this opportunity to chat to you guys. And thank you that all the listeners are here. Yeah, so I think we can activate my slideshow there.
There you are.
There.
It's coming on. There we are.
Okay, cool. Right. Let's chat about human system readiness and determine actually a person's success or the business success. So my question is, what if scaling your business is the very thing that breaks it? Every leader wants to scale, they want to grow, but what if growth acts like a pressure cooker that exposes that hidden cracks? That's the question on the table today. And growth doesn't create problems, it magnifies them. When you scaling amplifies misalignment, cultural friction, leadership gaps, energy depletion. Those are all things that actually happen when you want to scale your business. Some businesses are not growing, they are just surviving. Leaders are exhausted, teams are stretched, decisions are rushed, and no one quite are sure what to do, how to fix this problem. So I find that many companies are just surviving and try to get through the year, through another year, through this month or whatever. So it's so important to think a bit further. And that's why I've actually designed the Culture Readiness Index or Readiness Calculator. It helps you to see where your culture supports growth or maybe not, and whether your leaders have the energy. If leaders don't have any energy, they can't really move forward and do what they need to do, because scaling or growing your business takes some effort. It also asks how well the team think, communicate, and work together. In lots of cases, teams are not really on the same page. They work against one another and not really together. Also, if you truly have the right people in the right seats, there was this guy, Jim Collins, he always said, if you got the right people on the bus, you can go anywhere. And that is sometimes a big problem. Whether your values are guiding you to make the right decisions, or are values just something that hang on a wall there somewhere in reception. Those things are quite important, and it really can help you to scale your business. But if they are not in place, it's another story. So how do we do this? We first diagnose, so we measure what matters. And then we align. We fix only what blocks performance. And then we empower. We build sustainable, high-performing teams. So that's the process. We help CEOs prepare their people system before growth exposes those cracks. So leaders and teams can scale with clarity, energy, and confidence. Now, we use a few assessment tools. The first one is, of course, the Culture Readiness Index. That's a tool to help CEOs to diagnose, that reveals whether a business is ready to scale without breaking people or performance. It identifies those hidden people cost leakages, measures leadership clarity and alignment, and spots growth bottlenecks early in the race. It also provides that clear idea if something is if it's really and what you need. So the next tool, as I said, the previous tool is actually that overview. You look from above and you see what is going on in the business, and it gives you a very good idea. The next tool is to look at the people. Life energy check. You know, if people don't have the energy and they sit with lots of stress, there's a risk of burnout. So we measure those things. We measure if they can perform, what their energy levels are, what their burnout temperature is. The typical outcomes, they are more resilient, they make better decisions, and they are much more productive. And of course, burnout is not happening, because burnout is a reality, but it's something that you shouldn't get to. You should never get to the burnout stage. Then the next tool, the third tool, is the brain code and or work geniuses. This is this helps individuals and teams to understand their thinking styles and their natural strengths. So it helps the team to work together and to focus on what they are better at. So it's better role fit, less conflict, faster collaboration, and stronger execution. It's just to get this team to understand one another, to gel together, and now they can work and move forward and grow the business. It's often a big problem when people don't really understand the other people's natural strengths. And then you are in a position where you are doing a certain job and it actually drains more energy from you than it gives you energy. So that's important to understand that dynamics and to gel the team together, and that the team members understand when another person talk with their work genius that are the best, that they can deliver the best performance, then you let them talk and you listen to them, because you know that person is actually a person with, for instance, discernment. They can see exactly if this thing can work or not, and so on and so on. So the dynamics is incredible when you start using this. Then the team player status. You know, you want people to be part of the team. You want humble people. A big problem is that you sometimes sit with arrogant people. They don't want to learn. They don't want to listen. They think they know it all. And those people are actually more of a problem than a blessing in your business. Also, you want people that are hardworking people, that work together, that have that ability to really put some effort in. And you want people that are smart, that can communicate with others on a great level, help one another, and be more emotionally intelligent. So it measures your humility, your accountability, trust, and results. The outcomes there: stronger teamwork, better accountability, fewer people problems, higher performance. And that's what you want in your team. Then the last part is the values alignment. Values are very, very important for any business. You know, I find sometimes that the values are just on the wall. Nobody knows exactly what the values are all about. And the values are there to help you to make better decisions. It builds a strong culture. There's fewer mismatches and more consistent leadership. And when you know the values and you run your business according to the value system, then it's much easier to hire and fire people, because now you know what the culture should be. And you know if a person is not going to fit into your culture when you use this assessment to just understand the group better, or the people that you want to align with your business better. So who do we work with? We like to work with CEOs and founders, leadership teams, managers and supervisors, high performance individuals, people that really want to build the business and prepare the business for scaling. Now, proof and credibility. I work plus more than 20 years with in different industries, manufacturing, public sector, private sector. My work consistently delivers 90% plus success rate. And I'm focusing on improving leadership effectiveness, teamwork, and performance. So I work on a personal leadership level, interpersonal leadership level, and professional leadership level. And over the years, I didn't do this percolator thing or the readiness index with them. Different other courses that I've worked with, doing the right things right, team building, and so on and so on. The difference companies usually experience when they do this, from guessing to clarity. They move from guessing, hope for the best, to be clear. From firefighting to proactive leadership. From misalignment to alignment. From wrong people in the wrong roles to the right fit. From low trust to high trust. From slow growth to smarter growth. And that's what this can do for them. So that's sort of my story in short. It's important to prepare your people system first and scale smarter, smoother, and more profitable later. There's also a little video clip that you can listen to. It's about 6 minutes, so it's a long story, but it will give you a nice overview of what this is all about and where it comes from. Thank you, David. I don't know if there's a question or two, but I'm quick. You know, I got lots of energy, so things happen quick here, and I'm almost finished. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wilhelm. Well, that's a masterclass in itself. So fantastic. You know, what I'd like to ask you is, obviously, you know, I think it's Volker that you've been working at, and perhaps you can give us a brief overview of, you know, when you went to Volker, and then things that you actually did physically, and what the results have been. Because we had Johnny Chrysling from Volker, who came on, and actually last year he gave us feedback on the successes he's had, and I think that you played a big part in that success. So maybe you could just give us some ideas of what you did, and, you know, when you went there, how it was and how it is now.
Thank you, David. Yes, I've met Johnny at one of the CCBC meetings. That's the Capital City Business Forum, and we chat and we talk a little bit. And he mentioned to me that he maybe wants somebody to come and help them, but every now and then I followed up with him, and he said, no, they're not really ready. They don't have the money and blah, 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 you know, all those stories. And then one day he called me, he said, you know, I don't know. We can't get this thing right. There's lots of problems with workers and people and bad attitudes and all those things. And I started to work with him. Now, the very first thing that I did with him is the attitude adjuster, or I call it the doing the right things right. Now, this is something like this. It's pocket notes. I got pocket notes, and each and every person got this pocket notes. It's a lot of interesting information on this, but it's meant to, you put it in your pocket and in your hemp broekzak or gatsak, and every now and then you check it out again. You look at it when you are out for lunch. Just look at those pictures again, because in our course, I use a lot of visual things and practical things, especially with the workers. They are maybe not on the highest level of understanding all the things, so I try to keep things very, very simple. And just with that, attitudes would change. I can tell you, the moment when I walk in there, there was this really bad attitude, and the people just looked at me and very, very negative. Lots of politics in the business, and I started to work with them, and I built confidence or trust with them. Now, today, I can tell them almost anything that I want to, and they take it and they understand. And we talk straightforward, and lots of conflict and whatever problems might arise are solved because of these things that I shared with them. This actually gives a basis, and it gives me the platform to say, can you still remember? We talked about that thing, setting a goal for yourself. Can you still remember? Or whatever the case might be. So that helped me to solve a lot of conflict and other problems. It was a basis. The next step that I took was to do a vision board or vision alignment session with all of those. There's the 160 plus workers. So I went through each and every person. And even those people that find it difficult to understand, there's a language problem as well. But then we start to do this vision boards, and they cut pictures and they put pictures on, and then they explain this to the people. So there was a session where they need to present their vision boards and tell the rest of the people in the, call it the classroom, what their vision board is all about. And you can't believe how that actually unlocks some potential from them, because suddenly they got confidence, they start to speak, and they was very proud to present their vision boards. So that helped a lot. But with this underlying foundation of doing the right things right, I always refer back, is this the right thing to do? You can do the right things wrong, you can do the wrong things right, and you can somehow do the wrong things wrong as well. So that's another story. But the thing is, with that in mind, we started bringing them closer to what we want. And that was also, we did a strategic session with managers. It was about 14 people, and we decide again on what's the vision, what's the mission, and what are the values. Now, their values, we call it Cat-Curie values. Now, Cat-Curie is a funny word. I mean, I always say it's a bird, the Cat-Curie bird. The moment when the bird see the cat, it's a Cat-Curie. But it's just to get their mindsets right. And Cat-Curie is all about, the C is for customer focus. They must be customer focused. And I always ask them, who's your customer? Now, then often they say, yeah, but Woolworths or whatever, no, that's not your customer. Your customer is the next person in line. So that's your customer, the next person in line. If you are in their factory, there's a knitting department, and then they go to the assembly department and dye house, and so on and so on. But if you are knitting, your next in line is assembly. So you must give them the best product, because these guys battle with quality the whole time. The whole time quality is a problem, and then they stop it and blah, blah, blah. And then they go back to knitting. And then it was already at the end of the packaging, blame knitting because of what they did. And there's a blaming game the whole time. And so I said, no. Your customer is the next in line, and you must deliver the best product so that they can't blame you alongside the way, again, coming back to you, because they approve your quality that you gave them. And always you got somebody in front. You are somebody's customer as well. So make sure who's your customer, who's your provider or your service provider. Make sure that they deliver a good product so that you can deliver a good product, and so on. So the C was for customer focus. The A for accountability. Now, accountability in a company is a serious problem. People, it's difficult to keep others accountable, but now this is a value. So you can go to your supplier that might be knitting and tell them, listen, I'm not happy with this. I want to keep you accountable. So it gives them the power to talk to other people. And that help them to deliver a better quality or service. The T stands for teamwork. Teamwork is essential. If you are not part of a team, if you don't want to work together as a team, then you must go, or you must get yourself online. So those three are the core values: customer focus, accountability, and teamwork. If those three are the core values, that is where you, according to those values, you hire and fire people. It makes it so much easier, because now you can confront a person. Then the Q part is quality. Q for quality. Quality is key. If you don't deliver quality work, I can talk to you about it. I can give you a written warning for that matter, because your quality must be up to standard. The R for reliability. So I must be reliable. I must be at work. You know, the problem there is also they just take off. I'm sick for the day and just take off, or I must go to the clinic or whatever. So now you must be reliable. It's an important value. Not that you can't take off or that you can't be sick, but don't just be sick for, I just want to take a day off, because there's people in your team. Teamwork is key, that need you. You need to be back on the field, you know. And then the R, what was the Q, R for reliability. I is for what's the I now? Q, I must think about it. And the E for employee development. Employee development. So employee development is key, but it's not just you must tell me or put me on courses. I must be willing to learn. I must ask questions. I must be there to ask the questions and to want to learn, to be eager, and all those type of things. Now, with all those values in mind, the business can run and the business can grow, because the culture must be fine. And lots of companies battle with the culture, a burnout company culture for that matter. And if you think you can scale, then you will never be able to. You will fail. Not scale, you will fail. And the company can even close down if your culture is not healthy. So that is my idea of this, to help a company first to understand what's going on there, to do whatever you need to do, to work on the things that you need to do to fix before you try to scale, because otherwise people will not be able to do that. And with Falke, we are still not there yet, because the leadership is the big problem. People, you know, I base lots of my things on Patrick Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of a team. There's a trust issue. So we work on the trust. If there's no trust, you can't have positive conflict. And if positive conflict is not there, you can't come up with the ideas, battle it out, and commit to something. The next line is commitment. I must commit to what we decide and be accountable, and then we focus on the same results. Otherwise, each one is out for themselves. So with this in mind, we work on that, and I can tell you there's a huge difference coming up. Where this company was going down, they start to lift their heads up. And you know, companies must realize that it's like a ship. If a huge ship decide to turn, it takes 12 kilometers before it starts turning. He just decide, and then it take 12 kilometers, 12 months actually to start to change or to see the changes in the workplace. So that is what I find, and so far it works very successfully. And at least you know and you pinpoint those areas that you need to work on. It's not a hope for the best and maybe possibly this or that. It's really, it's there. This is the thing. This 1, 2, 3 things. We need to work on this. If you work on this, it's the Pareto principle. If you work on a 20% important things, 80% of the problems will be solved. So
Sure.
that's my story.
Sure, Wilhelm. Yeah, I must say, incredible what you've done there. And, from what Johnny Hulsing had to say about, in his presentation, how the company's actually turned around. So, and I love what you've been talking about. And, actually to get the people on board to actually work together is just incredible. So well done to you. I wanted to ask you, the I, is that for integrity or is there another?
That's right, yes. Yes.
Do you want to talk about that quickly, the I?
Yeah, you see, the thing is, if your yes must be your yes, your no must be your no. I must be on time. I must do what I say I will do. Now, that is a big problem. People will say, I will see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and they never pitch up. They're never there. Or I'm on time. Now, that is the basis of trust. You must be a person of integrity. That is the base. Trust is all about your character. What you do when nobody is looking. What you say you will do, you will do. Rather say I won't do something than say I will and I don't do it. So it's so important. You must be reliable. If otherwise the team can't really function. That's what happened to the Springbok rugby team, the world champs. They were so reliable on each and every person, and they were so focused, and they worked so together as a team that no matter what, it seems that we'll lose this game. They just don't have that losing thing in their minds. We are going to win, and they won. So integrity is very, very important. You must be able to trust your people, and trust is a big, big problem. And it starts with leaders. Leaders. When a person comes to a leader, and the leader talk out, or the leader is not taking their responsibility of being a leader, that's another big problem. There's lots of leaders that shouldn't be leaders. Their motive is wrong. Leaders think it's about a position, it's about more money, it's about doing less than more. That's a problem. A leader is not for the faint-hearted. You must work harder. You take more responsibility. Just think about having kids. When you have kids, there's leadership involved, and it's not nice having kids. It's not fun all the times. It's sometimes a slip. It's a pain. It's waking up at night. It's going the extra mile. For the next 30 years, you have kids in the house and those things. And people don't always realize that. And that's what leadership is all about. Leadership is taking the responsibility. Not, if you want to be a leader and you want more money, more fame, more position, you are having a wrong motive. Okay, I'm getting so excited and sidetracked. So thank you for that.
No, thank you for that. I'm going to ask Glenn for your takeaway here, Glenn.
Thanks very much, David, and thanks for Wilhelm. Always interesting to listen to you speak. I just have one or two questions for Wilhelm. If you had to walk into any organization now, and the organization obviously wants to scale, they want to scale rapidly, what would you say is the first test that you would do? Would it be culture? Would it be leadership alignment, resilience, communication? Where would you actually begin, and why would you begin with that?
Well, the best thing to do is for them to do the culture readiness calculator or index. Just start there. The moment when they do that quiz, it's a few questions. I can pinpoint exactly where the pain points are. And just on this point, I'm open that if there are other coaches that also want to use some of my tools, they're welcome. We can talk about that because it's so effective and it just gives you the right things to talk about. Otherwise, you wonder and you listen, but now there's an instrument that tell you exactly where the pain points are. Now you can address those things and talk about them. And the best thing to do is not just to get the CEO's point of view. I find CEOs are sometimes on another cloud. They sometimes think things are not so bad. But when there's some other leaders, the next level and even the next level leaders doing this same assessment, then you get a clear picture of what's really going on in that company. And there is where the techie strike the tar.
Absolutely. Now, typically, your CEOs are visionaries, so they don't necessarily see all the things down below; they see ahead. Just on that note as well, in terms of this readiness, the culture readiness index, is it actually for every single person, every staff member in the company that would actually do that then, or is it just management?
I'd rather go for management. It can become an expensive thing if everybody is doing that, although it's very good. It's not that they shouldn't do it, but at least the top management. And
Okay.
I also like the middle management. The people that burn out most are the middle management. They got the pressure from top and the pressure from the bottom. And they usually know exactly what's going on. So it's good if they can do it.
Okay, fantastic. That makes sense. Okay, I have one more question for you. If before revenue actually starts increasing, your headcount expands, etc., within a company, what would you say are the behavioral or relational red flags that tell you that a leadership team isn't actually ready to scale at this point?
I think the most important thing is the value system. If people are not buying into the value system, now as I said, lots of companies only have the values on the wall. It's not in the heart. It's not. It's. I always say it's something that you put on. What are to explain is I say somebody bang at your door 3:00 at night and say, listen, you need to evacuate your house immediately. What are you going to take with you? Now, people come up with different things, their cell phones, their bank card, their this, their that, whatever, kids, the dogs, whatever. And then I say, but say, for instance, for some reason, don't tell me the reason, say if you didn't have any clothes on, you were bare naked, what would you do? Then most people say, I will grab something, put it on, and run out. Just put something on. Now, that is what you must do with values. You must put it on. It must be part of you. You must live it. So the moment now, lots of these values, if you think about the Cat Curie now, you can apply it at your home. It's the same. You can apply those things at home, and when you do those things and you live those things, then you will be ready. But if people are not going with that flow, then it's a problem. Then you will not be able to scale. So either they must change their mindset or they must go because they don't fit in here. And it's sometimes tough because this guy is important, he's the man or she's the girl. But if they are not aligning with the value system, it's going to be more problematic than you think.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Wilhelm. Appreciate that. And that's it
Thank
from
you
me.
for the
Thank you.
questions.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, while you're talking now, I was just thinking about, a lot of people have self-interest. And the issue is, they come to work, they obviously, all of us have issues at home or, in our lives, and we are often thinking about those issues or, whatever it might be. And you come to work and now suddenly you have to have a mind shift. Suddenly if someone else is now paying you for the time that you're allocating, to a certain task or whatever it is, and now suddenly you have to put aside those worries. So how do you overcome that? You know, in the workplace, how do you actually overcome that issue where, you know, people bring stuff from outside into the workplace, and obviously that affects their performance, their attitude, and so on? How do you do that regarding these values?
Okay, first the team player assessment or status. That assessment help a lot to find out if a person, you know, Patrick Lynch only talk about a good team player must be humble, hungry, and smart, and to find out what is that. If a person is not humble, as I mentioned earlier, it's a big problem because they got the air around them and they think it's all about them. So, and you can't teach those people anything. I worked with a company, or I chatted to them, and they got this brilliant youngster. He's 25 years old, but he don't want to learn. He know everything. And that's a problem. That is a problem because at the end of the day, that person will just give you hassles. So we need to understand that. Is a person humble, hungry, and smart? And if you assess that, you can sort of already know, but this person will not be a team player. If they are in your team, then we can pinpoint those areas that we should work on to help that person to become a great team player. So that's the one thing. When you talk about personal issues and all those things, the 1 minute reality check that's more focused on your energy and burnout, temperature and stress and all those things, that tells us a lot as well, because now you understand that this person is at a energy level or stress level that is not really good. And then one can work with that. I got the stress mastery online course that I give people, and that helped a lot to get their stress mastery right, because we all got stress, and stress is a thing that is just getting more and more and worse by the day. And we need to become aware of certain things. How do we master stress? Stress is there, but if you know how to master stress effectively, you will have the energy always. You will never burn out if you know how to master your stress. So all those different tools play a role to give a better understanding of where the person are or where the team players are, and that help you to focus on the right things. You sort that out.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much. I think our time is nearly up, and what I'd like to just do is thank the audience. I see there's been quite a number of people online, which is fantastic. We do this every week. Every week we have a session. We talk about different things. Next week we're going to be talking about the budget, and the following week we're going to do cybercrime. The following week we're going to be talking about AI, but a different type of AI. And the perspective of AI in our business. So come and join us, and come at 8 o'clock every Thursday. We are here, and we will be online, and we'll be talking about these different subjects, so that giving expertise a voice. So I'd like to just thank Wilhelm very much, and Glenn very much for your time today. And what we normally do now is just, what is your big takeaway? I'm going to ask Glenn first, what is your big takeaway today, Glenn, from what Wilhelm shared with us?
Thanks, David. We typically do one word, but I'm going to give a couple of here, 3 words, in fact. For me, it's about clarity and vision alignment. Clarity and vision alignment, very important.
And Wilhelm?
Yeah, well, I just want to, I like what the questions that you guys gave me. I always like questions, and you were so nice. You know, I sometimes like the difficult questions as well, because I have the answers, and it's not now not being humble, but there's over the years experience, and there's answers. There's answers to questions. I can only say, please, guys, the CEOs, don't suffer alone. let us help you. And that quiz, that index, readiness index is for free. You can do it for free. I only charge when there's now lots of people doing it, and then then it's like 150 or whatever per person extra, just because there's some analysis to be done and time to put on. But do it. Just check your business and see where you stand, and from there you can move forward, and you at least know there's a possibility that there might be some cracks that you need to fix before the time.
So Wilhelm, where can one get access to these tools that you're talking about?
Well, you can go to my website to look at that. It is, of course, the www.1, the number one, there's it. You can see onelifeenergy.com, or you can send me an email to wilhelm@onelifeenergy.com, and from there we can take it.
Fantastic. No, that's great. Thank you very much. Well, it's been a fantastic session. I must say I've really enjoyed today, and guys, we'll be back next week. Thank you very much. There is this video. It's 6 minutes long, so if you'd like to watch it, it gives a summary of what Wilhelm's spoken about. And we will actually play it separately as well, just so that people can see it as well. So thanks very much, Glenn. Thanks, Wilhelm. Thanks for this masterclass. It's very interesting. I think it's, there are a lot of companies out there that struggle. I mean, when I was in the corporate, I kind of did an estimate that, politics played 80% and we actually only work 20%. And it's, imagine if you can work 100% on the business rather than having the 80% politics. That just eradicates the good work that one can do and one can achieve. When people work together and there's adhesion and common understanding of what the end goal is when you go to work, you can achieve huge amounts. And you don't have to scale, because scaling automatically happens. And I think that's something, the focus story, there's a success story in itself. And what I'll do is I'll also add the link to that session with Johnny Chrisling, and so that you can actually listen to what actually took place in his business. So, yeah, thanks, Wilhelm. Thanks, Glenn. See you all next week. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And I'm just going to ask you guys to stay on. Ciao. Bye.
Cheers.
Every leader wants to scale their business. It's the goal, right? But what if the very act of growing is the thing that breaks it? Today, we're going to dive into a system designed to stress test your company before you hit the accelerator. We're talking about moving your growth strategy from hope to actual proof. So you feel like you're ready to hit the gas. The market is there, maybe you've got the funding, but is your company truly ready? The biggest obstacle to growth often isn't in the market or the bank. It's hiding inside the company itself. And this quote from Tony Robbins just nails it. It completely reframes the challenge of growth, doesn't it? It tells us that this isn't just about spreadsheets and strategy. The biggest bottleneck is human, and it starts right at the top, with the leader. Which brings us to this core paradox of growth. It's what we're all chasing. It's the dream. But that same forward momentum, that push to get bigger, acts like this intense pressure cooker, and it has a funny way of exposing every single hidden crack in your company's foundation. And this is the part you really have to get. Growth doesn't actually invent new problems. What it does is it magnifies what's already there. Those subtle misalignments in your culture, the little bits of friction in your team, the unaddressed gaps in leadership. All of a sudden, those small issues become very expensive, very public failures. So if pressure is what reveals all of the hidden stuff, the big question is, how do you get ahead of it? How can you see the truth before you're in the middle of a high-stakes, high-stress scaling effort? Well, this is where a diagnostic approach becomes absolutely essential. And that's exactly what the Growth Percolator is. I want you to think of it like an MRI for your organization's readiness to grow. So instead of guessing or just relying on assumptions, It's designed to give you a clear, data-driven picture of all the risks and the strengths that are hiding right under the surface of your company. So how does it work? Well, it's not just one big test. It's a sequential pathway, a series of 5 distinct diagnostic tools. It starts at that 30,000-foot view, looking at your entire culture, and then it systematically drills down, layer by layer, all the way to the core of individual alignment and values. So let's actually break down these 5 layers. The goal here isn't just to gather a bunch of data. It's to build a foundation of proof that lets you make smarter, faster decisions and ultimately scale with real confidence. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with your culture. Is it truly prepared for the intensity and the demands that come with rapid growth? That's the first question we have to answer with data, not just with a gut feeling. This first diagnostic pulls directly from Patrick Lencioni's incredible work on organizational health, and it's all about one thing: clarity. It tests whether your leadership team is 100% aligned on these fundamental questions, from why do we even exist, all the way down to who's supposed to do what. Because let's be honest, without that unified clarity, any attempt to scale just creates chaos. Okay, next we shift from the system as a whole down to the individual. And this is so important because you can have the best strategy in the world, but if your people are running on fumes, execution is simply impossible. Energy, that's the real fuel for growth. And this idea is captured so perfectly here, drawing on Tony Robbins' concept of priming for peak performance. The 1-minute reality check is designed to assess not just performance ability, but also critically the burnout temperature of your key people. The question is, are they primed for success or are they headed for a cliff? All right, so with a clear view of individual energy levels, the diagnostic lens zooms in on how your team members actually behave and interact with each other. This isn't about the org chart or the ideal version on paper. This is about the reality of your team's dynamics on a Tuesday afternoon. Again, we're looking at Lencioni's famous model here. This layer measures the 5 foundational behaviors of any high-performing team. And what's so brilliant is how they build on each other. You see, you can't have healthy conflict if there's no trust. You won't get real commitment without that healthy conflict. And you'll never, ever achieve collective results without accountability. These aren't just buzzwords, they are a step-by-step formula for a team that actually works. And the difference this makes is, well, it's just night and day. A team that isn't focused on collective results, it stagnates, it bleeds its best talent, but a team that prioritizes those results becomes a magnet for high achievers and just cuts through all the noise. This one focus is a massive indicator of organizational health. Okay, now we get even more specific. We're moving from how the team behaves as a group to the unique, innate ways that each person is wired to contribute. This is all about getting the right people in the right seats, based not on their resume, but on their natural gifts. So, using Lencioni's working genius framework, we can literally map out what kind of work energizes each person versus what drains them. For any leader, this is gold, pure gold. It lets you build teams where people's natural talents actually complement each other, which helps prevent burnout and make sure your best minds are focused on the right challenges. And that brings us to the final and maybe the deepest layer, alignment. This is where we diagnose the gap between the values you have written on the wall and the actual behaviors you see from your team when the pressure is really on. And this concept is so important. This is about making sure your company's values are not just pretty words on a poster. Are they consciously chosen? More importantly, are they hardwired into your systems for hiring, for promoting, and for letting people go? Because if they're not, they're just suggestions. And under the pressure of growth, suggestions always break. So, after moving through this entire diagnostic pathway, what's the actual outcome? What do you get? Well, it's a fundamental shift. It's about moving from scaling based on dangerous assumptions to scaling with real, actionable clarity. In that clarity, it empowers you to make smarter decisions everywhere, from who you hire to how you build your culture, to reducing those really costly mismatches where you have a good person in the wrong role. Ultimately, it's about having the proof you need to scale with precision and confidence, not just with hope. And that is the essential takeaway from all of this. Growth itself doesn't break businesses. Pressure simply reveals what was already there, good or bad. By diagnosing those hidden realities before you scale, you can build a business that isn't just bigger, but is fundamentally stronger. So the only question left is, are you ready to see what's really there?